going to move on to the thread. And I'm going to get Becky to kind of help me and hold your hair up here. And I'm all the way up in the hairline. I'm going to bring it a little bit lower.
Thank you. I was going to say I look good. You doing all right?
Now these are this category of threads come with barbs on them. These are the lifting threads. And the ones that we're using are from a South Korean company called Han's Biomedical. Okay, now, hopefully you won't feel a stick. So I make a hole in the skin with a 18 gauge needle. Then I use a tiny scissor, not the opening, just to kind of enlarge that opening a tiny bit to get that thread through. And in many cases, for people who need more lifting, we'll actually do a technique where we put 2 of these threads through that same hole, and then we tie the end together. But because you don't need that much lifting, we're just going to do one. And we're not going to do that tie technique. And you can see I'm having trouble getting through that tiny hole. So I'm going to make it just a tiny bit bigger.
How's this?
Okay, now I'm through. And this is on a cannula, so I've already drawn out my vector that I want to go, and I'm going to kind of turning it. I want to just push down through. I'm in the subcutaneous plane here. I feel it may be a little bit sore, especially when we come over here. Okay, now I've deployed that thread, and you can see there's little tiny barbs on it. They're unidirectional barbs, so I'm going to pull. You can see when I pull, we're getting a little bit of traction here. And then snip that off and reset it. Doing okay? Good. Good. And it's just, subtle little lift right along that vector. Now, if you had more drooping, I would put a second one in. We would actually tie the ends together and then bury the end there. But I think for you, one is fine.
Okay.
And do the same over here. I'm going to bring your head back a little bit. Turn it this way. Because I'm right-handed, so I need a different angle. Becky, can you come around this side? Yeah.
Come up under. Is that in your way?
Good. Again, that was the reason I did the that ultrasound or the Doppler earlier, because I just hate to make a hole and then all of a sudden see blood come out of there, and we know there's no arterial structures up here, and just identifying where they are on the front end just makes it a nicer, less risky procedure. There we go. Doing great. Now a little lifting, pulling back. See, I can kind of set that, pull it back. Set that, good. All right, good. Can you sit up so we can take a peek? Good, yeah, definitely where you have the line. Let me show you. Yeah, you can see it's subtle, but it definitely, it's a way to because you have such great skin too. It's a way to just get that subtle lifting up and back. Now, for people that are heavier, that have gels, we'll do more threads and we'll get more lifting. But for you, you're close to perfect to start, so we're just looking for a little bit of lift.
Cool.
Good. Okay, you can sit back.
A little white thing on it.
Tissue? You need
Maybe.
tissue?
No, I'm good.
I can, I'll grab you.
Okay, now I'm gonna do a little bit of backfilled filler here and then for your nose.
Okay.
Your mom not taking it. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, that was interesting.
Not as interesting as Amy's.
Oh, the breasts or the face one that you did?
In my breast.
Yeah, because I saw the video of it. For a minute.
So her face? Or
Both of them.
Oh, both.
Yeah.
She shows everybody.
Okay.
At this point, yeah.
So what we're doing here
My family ever lost it.
is there's like a little divot right here.
Whatever.
So this is a backfilled technique where I'm just going in with a tiny needle, an insulin needle, kind of right into that divot using a 50-50 blend of velour. We'll sometimes do Botox in this area to calm down the mentalis muscle. We've done that with Tracy in the past, and it actually caused kind of an unnatural contour. So instead of doing Botox, we're just going to try to smooth in some of the little pebbly areas in the chin. Again, it's very not a big area, and we're just trying to just get that smoothed in a tiny bit. And when I say 50-50 velour, that means I've taken one syringe of velour and mixed it with an equal amount of 1% lidocaine, and that just embeds into the process that we're not going to overfill people. It just makes it a little more conservative. Now, your nose looks really good. What we're doing on your nose is we're just trying to get where it's a little bit flat in the mid portion. We're trying to get a little bit more vertical projection. Same idea, by doing that 50-50 blending, it just embeds into this process that we're not going to overfill, and kind of trade an almost perfect nose for one that's overdone. Because the lidocaine is going to go away, so it's going to back off a little bit. The nose is very vascular too. It's very common to just see it kind of ooze, and so if you're an injector doing this, you just have to be patient and kind of take your time and not rush through it. Becky, can you just hold, from that side, if you can just hold that for me.
If I was 5 feet tall, I couldn't do this.
The other nice thing about injecting noses is, in my book, there's no rush. If I'm much happier just kind of doing a little bit at a time, gradually building it up. And it's always a shared decision making, too, because noses are very personal. People have different ideas about what they want and what looks good to them. Okay, I can still see a little dimple here. Sometimes when you do these intradermal injections, you really want to be very close to the surface. And sometimes when you inject, you'll actually see the filler come out because you're a little too superficial. Rather, especially on the nose, you really want to err on the side of being in the mid-dermis, not being too deep. If someone's had a non-surgical nose, it's a native nose, the blood supply is pretty predictable, and if you're in the midline, even at whatever level you are, you're going to be okay. But for someone who's had surgery on their nose, that can change the vasculature, so you have to be any injectors have to be very careful about their level of injection and really thoughtful about nose anatomy to not cause any complications.